Hey, Daddy. Hey, Mama. I bet Phil is standing right behind you watching this, isn't he? Gosh darn it, Daddy. You really gotta learn how to use your darn computer. And Phil, if you're not the best gosh darn brother in the whole world, well, I don't know who is. I'm sorry y'all aren't gonna make it down for the shower, but don't you worry. I am just thrilled to buttons that you're gonna make it for the rehearsal dinner and finally, oh my goodness, finally get to meet Daniel in person. He says the nicest things about you. Daddy, he really loved that sock and underwear set you got him. Really thoughtful. And Mama, he's always saying he'll be a lucky man if I turn out like you when I'm older. Isn't he just the sweetest sip of iced tea you've ever tasted? Now some updates on the big day. Mama, your caramel arrived yesterday safe and sound. And Daddy, thank you so much for the suggestion to use almond flour. The baker said it's not going to taste like it was baked by some taxi driver. So Mama, that answers your question. Thank you very much. I love you both so much. I know in my heart that if Dan and I can be as happy as you two, then there won't be anything I'll ever want again. Nothing. Seriously. Oh my. Oh my. You must think I'm as crazy as a winter storm in July with my emotions all over the place. I'm fine. I'm fine because what else would I be? I'm marrying the man of my dreams, right? It's just nerves. Mama, you had nerves when you married Daddy, right? Men are supposed to be closed off, right? Hiding emotions is a part of being a man. And it's a good thing, right? I mean, Daddy has his boy hobbies and Dan loves his video games. Lord knows he loves those video games, and that's okay, right? I'm happy. I'm happy. Of course I am. Snap out of it, Jonies. Snap right out of it. It was destiny that I met that man. When his dog, Red, almost killed my cat, Sweden, I just knew he was the right fella for me. And I knew I had to get rid of Sweden if I wanted to be with him, and well, that was all right. I didn't mind. Relationships are compromises, right? He really is the nicest man. So why do I? Mama, how did you know you wanted to marry Daddy? I mean, how did you really know? I've been praying for an answer, a sign, anything that will show me that I'm making the right decision. Every night I get down on my knees and I say, God, won't you show me a sign that I'm making the right decision? Won't you show me the way? Won't you please? Every night for a month. And guess what? Now you're gonna think I'm as goofy as a gopher in a possum hole. Last night, when I prayed, I heard a voice. Clear as a bell and just as sweet sounding as a sunrise. He said, okay. That's all, just okay. But what does that mean? Okay, go ahead and marry him? Okay, he's really more of a dog person, so maybe don't? Or okay, I'll give you a sign. The wedding's in 2 weeks and I am so confused. If God can't give me a sign, then how am I supposed to know what to do? I want more time. Please, God, I just want more time. No responsibilities, no weddings, just sitting in bed with time to decide. Please, God, just give me more time.
Hey there, Mr. and Mrs. Jesus. And Phil. Dan here. We got cut off again. I'm just gonna make this and send it to you. I guess if you're watching it, Phil got it working for you. You can use the phone, you know. We don't need to do the video talking. But whatever you like, I guess. So, like I was saying, Joni came over to pick me up, and we were sitting at the kitchen table when the news came out. Boom! Lockdown. So, no bakery, of course, and the wedding has to be postponed, of course, and so, yeah, that's how we got stuck here. But don't worry about nothing, because she's sleeping in my room and I'm sleeping on the couch, which is, I don't mind at all, as long as she's happy. One thing kind of worries me a little. She keeps saying that she thinks this whole situation is her fault. I know it sounds crazy. Not crazy like there's something wrong with her, so don't worry about that. Just kind of crazy, you know? Sometimes she talks to herself about needing more time and feeling guilty about hurting so many people. It's kind of freaking me out, to be honest. And I think, too, maybe she's sneaking out when I'm asleep. Her cat, Sweden, is here. It wasn't, but it is now. Just when she was worried about him, and the damn thing works out of the bedroom. And don't you know it, there's a bunch of cat food in the cupboard too, and I don't know where that came from. When I ask her how it got there, she looks real funny and says, God works in mysterious ways. Then she kind of glows and looks out the window like she's expecting God to be there waving at her. And sometimes I look out the window and I'm waiting for the same thing. God, standing out there waving at me like he's in a 4th of July parade or something. And you know what? I'm not allergic to cats anymore. And now that I've been here with Sweden, I think I might actually like cats more than dogs. My dog Red seems so messy and noisy, always jumping up on you and need to be walked. I do not know. You know what's super weird too? I don't shop for food, but we always have enough. I ask Joni and she gets that glow and looks out the window and says, God works in mysterious ways. Yeah, right. Like God is making sure we always got enough frozen peas and pudding cups. I do not know. I'm trying to be supportive of her because I know she's having a tough time. I play video games less and talk most nights about our feelings and what we're afraid of. I don't know. Everything, I guess. She needs this kind of emotional support right now, and I'm going to be there for her. And I don't even find it boring, talking about the same stuff over and over. It's important to be understood. I hope you don't think I'm getting weird or anything, but it actually feels kind of good talking to her. Like share our feelings or whatever. But that's what a relationship is, right? Compromise. We have to work together. Be a team.
My research concerns the so-called plague of the year 2020 and the relationship to our first Joni. I'm sure you're all aware, but indulge me while I give a brief recap of what contemporary thinking was. Thought to have originated in the region then known as China, it was believed to have started as a plot enacted by the then government of the United States of portion of what was called the Americas. Its reasoning, the best we can understand, had to do with wanting to make apples in those United States rather than the China. It was a moderately successful virus which caused serious consequences for some, but not all. And some speculated that it was designed to target specific demographics. That speculation alone reveals so much of the horror in society in those times. My team and myself are now very happy to say that we have conclusive proof of what so many of us have so long believed. The 21st century plague was, in fact, the first known sign that the God was answering our first Joni's prayers. We have long believed that the events in and around the town of Sasser in the United States of Georgia were the inception point of our world today. Now, and by searching this area, we have discovered what was called a rental storage unit. Now, remember, this was a time when people had personal possessions. I could not imagine a world, I couldn't imagine no possessions or even life without greed or hunger. Brotherhood of man was not a concept they could realize, much less the sisterhood of society we live in now. I apologize for judging the past by present day standards. There were so many signs that society was regressing rather than progressing. However, let me return to what I was saying. The rental storage unit contained enough evidence for us to say with certainty that it belonged to our first Joni. It contained diaries and, most importantly, video evidence of her growing awareness of the God was directly answering her prayers. There was some evidence of the usual self-indulgence of the time, lottery winning, changing her husband's appearance to look more like a Ryan Reynolds or a Bradley Cooper, eradicating something called video games. Now, to the crux of our research. What you've been waiting for. We have identified the instigating event. The moment our first Joni moved from seeing herself as an individual, beholden to no one, to accepting that she was the creator of the world. Our world. Keep in mind, in the time of our first Joni, people could not imagine a world with no countries, nothing to kill or die for, no religion too. They could not imagine a world where everyone lived in peace, sharing all the world, living as one. In the original charter of our world, it tells us that our first Joni prayed for these things and God directly answered, but why? Why did she change? What was her motivation to look beyond herself and care for others? In Sasser, Georgia, Our first Joni's husband died in a freak accident, widely reported at the time. Joni tells us that the giraffe that killed her husband was a direct answer to her prayer. The fact that the giraffe seemingly appeared out of nowhere, that giraffes generally had not been thought to be carnivorous or never having attacked a human, caused some questions. Joni tells us, well, as she puts it, God doesn't need to explain. God does what God wants. So true. So very, very true. It is not clear to us why she made that prayer on that day at that particular moment. She references a part of the world called Sweden and her husband's growing dislike for that country. We will continue our research, looking for what may have caused her husband's dislike and her powerful defense of Sweden. Meanwhile, I look forward to hearing your comments and questions about what we have discovered.